For 2 centuries, history books have told us that the invention of the battery belongs firmly in the year 1800 AD, when the Italian scientist Alessandro Volta unveiled his revolutionary voltaic pile. But what if those history books were profoundly wrong? What if the secrets of generating electricity not in Italy, but in the heart of ancient Mesopotamia? Welcome back. Today, we delve into the electrifying mystery of the Baghdad Battery, an artifact so structurally compelling, so functionally possible, that it challenges the entire conventional timeline of technological development, earning it the reputation as the ultimate out-of-place artifact, or OOP art. Imagine an object dating potentially to the Parthian or Sassanian empires, circa 250 BC to AD 640, that is essentially a complete galvanic cell, a device that transforms chemical reactions into electrical current. If validated as a functional power source, this small, unassuming clay pot would force a massive revision of the timeline for electrochemistry. The existence of a device capable of producing electricity 2 millennia before Edison and Volta has fueled decades of speculation. Alternative history circles and sensationalist writers, popularized by figures like Willy Ley and Erich von Däniken, seized upon this find, claiming it as proof of lost high technology, or perhaps technology gifted by ancient astronauts. Some even made fantastical leaps, suggesting these batteries powered impossible devices like electric light globes inside Egypt's pyramids, though rigorous investigation yields no evidence of such advanced wiring or lighting systems. But is this merely pseudoscience, or is there genuine technical feasibility behind the hype? The very name already frames the debate, compelling traditional archaeology to expend significant effort either confirming or systematically refuting the electrical purpose. To move beyond the sensational and into the facts, we must first go back to the 1930s, to a site outside the modern capital of Iraq, to understand exactly what was found, who found it, and why they immediately recognized it as something utterly unique. This is the story of the Baghdad Battery, and it starts with a German archaeologist in an Iraqi museum storage room.
Our story begins in 1938 in the National Museum of Iraq, where Austrian archaeologist Wilhelm König, then serving as the director of the museum's laboratory, brought an unusual artifact to scholarly attention. The object was actually a nested trio of materials sealed together, found near the ruins of Ctesiphon, the capital of the Parthian and Sassanian empires. König had been looking for comparative evidence related to similar finds. What he analyzed was a small, unglazed ceramic pot, approximately 14 centimeters, about 5 to 6 inches tall. Inside this sturdy vessel were 3 essential components, sealed at the opening by bitumen, a naturally occurring asphalt. Number 1. The copper cylinder, a copper sheet rolled to form a tube. Number 2, the iron rod, an iron rod or spike positioned inside the copper cylinder, sometimes found protruding slightly from the bitumen seal. Number 3, the bitumen seal, used to hold the rod in place and, critically, ensure the copper and iron did not physically touch each other. This intricate sealed arrangement of 2 dissimilar metals, copper and iron, inside a non-conductive ceramic container suggested a deliberate, specialized construction. Adding to the mystery, the jars showed serious signs of corrosion and often contained traces of acidic agents such as grape juice, wine, or vinegar. König was the first to propose the object was a galvanic cell. But even the basic facts surrounding its discovery are murky, plagued by decades of misreporting. The artifact was originally found in 1936, reportedly during earth-moving operations by the rail department near Kujut Rabu, close to the ruins of Ctesiphon, now Salman Park. Early reports suggested the site was a Parthian settlement. The crucial problem for archaeologists is the dating ambiguity. While often attributed to the Parthian era, circa 250 BC to AD 225, the pottery style might actually belong to the later Sassanian period. This difference matters. The Parthians were not known for scientific achievement, whereas the Sassanians had sophisticated knowledge of chemical and metallurgical processes. If the later Sassanian date is accurate, the object is less of an anomaly, fitting into a culture capable of deep chemical experimentation. Furthermore, the initial findings were heavily misquoted over time. Contrary to many reports, the original Baghdad Battery jar analyzed by König was found on its own in 1936, not in a group of 4. The common conflation stems from König referencing 4 similar jars found earlier in 1930 at a different site. The most profound tragedy related to this artifact, however, limits our ability to resolve any of these debates. The original Baghdad Battery was lost during the widespread looting of the National Museum of Iraq following the 2003 US-led invasion. We must, therefore, rely on the detailed descriptions of its composition and the results of modern experimental archaeology.
König's theory that this was a galvanic cell hinges on sound electrochemical principles. The construction, 2 dissimilar metals separated by an electrolyte, perfectly mirrors the requirements for a voltaic cell. In theory, the iron rod acts as the anode, while the copper cylinder acts as the cathode. An acidic liquid, the electrolyte, must fill the space between them, allowing positive and negative ions to move, thereby completing the circuit. The evidence from the original artifact supports this. The corrosion found suggests an acidic agent was present, most likely readily available liquids like wine, vinegar, or acidic fruit juices, such as lemon or grape juice. The iron, having a negative oxidation potential, would corrode in the acidic solution, releasing electrons, the negative flow. The copper, with a higher potential, facilitates the reduction reaction, drawing the circuit current. This difference in material opinions about electric charges creates the potential energy between the terminals. Modern experimental archaeology has repeatedly validated the electrical potential of this design. Engineer Willard Gray, shortly after World War II, successfully produced between 1.5 and 2.0 volts using a replica filled with grape juice. Other experiments using vinegar or lemon juice typically yield between 0.5 and 1.1 volts. The replica constructed in one video demonstrated generating more than 0.5 volts from a single cell, proving it is a battery, beyond any doubt, capable of producing electricity. One modern replication experiment went further, demonstrating the beauty of the Baghdad Battery's design. Everything required, clay, copper, iron, and grape juice, was naturally and easily available 2,000 years ago. By hooking up a dozen replica cells together in series, the voltage output could be increased significantly. This array exceeded 6 volts, and in a demonstration, this cumulative power was successfully used to light up a modern light bulb and power a buzzer, proving that the ancient design is capable of making enough power to do useful things. One experiment even generated 2 volts from 4 cells, sufficient to power an LED. This demonstration is crucial. Even if the ancient peoples did not comprehend the concepts of electron flow and electrochemistry, they could have discovered the galvanic effect through routine chemical experimentation, such as observing corrosion differences when mixing acidic liquids and metals. However, the low voltage generated by a single cell presents a severe limitation. For any practical high-energy use, multiple cells would need to be linked together in series, much like modern batteries are arrayed. The challenge now shifts from can it produce electricity to why would ancient people need it?
When addressing the question of practical use, proponents of the electrical theory offer 2 main technological applications: electroplating and electrotherapy.
suggested the artifact was a galvanic cell used for electroplating, applying a thin layer of precious metal, such as gold or silver, onto base objects. Modern experiments show this is technically possible. The popular science show Mythbusters, for example, successfully wired 10 replica cells in series, achieving 4.33 volts, enough power to visibly electroplate a small copper token with zinc when left immersed overnight. Another experiment successfully electroplated a coin with a thin layer of copper and multiple cells providing 2 volts. The concept of electroplating sounds grounded in reality. It requires 2 dissimilar metals, an electrolyte and a solution containing the plating metal, such as gold cyanide. It's true that ancient peoples were skilled in metal plating, but the electroplating theory faces emphasis, overwhelming rejection from mainstream archaeologists. The reasons for this rejection are compelling and rooted in the archaeological record, the absence of evidence. Firstly, a practical electroplating system would require connecting wires to link multiple cells in series to achieve the necessary voltage. Emphasis: no archaeological evidence for such wires or connecting systems has ever been found. Electroboom notes that the design was sealed, and the copper pipe was not exposed for connection, suggesting the inventors didn't know electricity runs through metals. Secondly, using the cell for plating would have deposited specific chemical byproducts, such as copious amounts of copper salts, and copper metal would have been visible on the iron components. No such evidence of an electroplating setup has ever been reported. The low voltage generated by a single battery would also be insufficient to effectively electroplate anything. Some experts even argued that such low voltage is not capable of doing anything useful at all. The most damning evidence against the electroplating theory is the technology the ancients already possessed. The silver objects Konig initially suspected of being electroplated were analyzed and confirmed to have been treated using fire gilding. Fire gilding involves dissolving gold in mercury, forming an amalgam, rubbing it onto the object, and applying heat to evaporate the mercury, leaving a thin, durable layer of gold. This non-electrical technique was superior in quality and was already well established. The ancient peoples, therefore, had no practical necessity to adopt a cumbersome, low-yield electrochemical method. Furthermore, Dr. Hafford confirms that there has not been a single piece of electroplated material found anywhere in the ancient Parthian Empire. Given these facts, the argument that the Baghdad Battery was a forgotten tool for plating simply does not stand up to rigorous archaeological scrutiny.
If the Baghdad Battery wasn't for electroplating, could its low voltage output have served another purpose? An alternative technological proposal suggests the artifact was intended for mild electrotherapy. Kieser argued that the output of a single cell was too feeble for industrial electroplating, but ideal for analgesic purposes, such as pain relief or even electroacupuncture. This idea is rooted in documented historical practices. The ancient Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians were known to use the electric shocks delivered by nature's own batteries, specifically electric fish like the torpedo ray or electric catfish. They would literally stand on these fish to numb areas suffering from chronic pain, gout, or headaches. This practice, known in antiquity, is still utilized today in hospitals, used to relieve pain, joint issues, and blood flow problems. Crucially, the Baghdad Battery was found in Mesopotamia and the Persian Gulf region, an area that lacked native electric fish in its immediate waterways. This geographical gap in natural bioelectrical resources could have provided a compelling motivation
for developing an artificial, reliable, low-voltage source of mild electricity. One video commentator even noted that finding such a source would have been a pretty impressive thing for people who lacked the concept of electricity. Furthermore, contextual findings near similar vessels found at Seleucia included bronze and iron needles consistent with acupuncture practices, lending some support to the electrotherapy theory. This application is particularly compelling because it addresses the single greatest criticism leveled against the electroplating theory. Since the goal of electrotherapy only requires the output of a single cell to create a mild sensation, there would be no need to link multiple cells together in series. This perfectly explains the complete archaeological absence of connecting wires. The mild shock could be delivered simply by touching the exposed positive and negative terminals, or perhaps through water or a damp cloth, generating a sensation strong enough to potentially heal or numb the area. While one modern experiment successfully produced over 6 volts with a dozen cells, which can be felt, testing the feasibility of using the current for electrotherapy demonstrated that the total current was often insufficient to deliver an electric shock through dry human skin, suggesting the effect would be subtle but perhaps noticeable. The possibility of using this device for a form of ancient pain relief remains one of the strongest technological arguments.
Despite the compelling arguments for electrotherapy, the strongest evidence for the Baghdad Battery's function points away from electrical technology altogether. Mainstream archaeologists overwhelmingly favored 2 non-electrical hypotheses rooted in Mesopotamian culture and expertise: ritual use and chemical purification. The scroll jar and ritual theory. The ritual container hypothesis is currently the dominant view among archaeologists. It argues that the Baghdad Battery artifact is visually and structurally similar to numerous vessels found at neighboring archaeological sites. For instance, at Seleucia on the Tigris, 4 similar ceramic vessels were found dating to the Sassanid period. 3 of these vessels, sealed with bitumen and containing bronze cylinders, held pressed-in papyrus wrappers or decomposed fiber rolls. 6 other similar vessels found in Ctesiphon also contain decomposed cellulose fibers. These containers were typically used to house sacred texts, protective incantations, or magic spells, leading archaeologists to infer that the structure, including the metal components, held cultic or amuletic meaning. The artifact resembles incantation bowls, which were common protective magic items used in the region to ward off demons. Dr. Brad Hafford, a Near Eastern archaeologist, strongly supports this ritual interpretation, stating that the best interpretation of the Baghdad Battery type is that it is a ritual object, not ever a battery. He notes that texts exist detailing this practice, writing spells on paper or lead sheets, rolling them up and placing them in a subterranean environment, often to send messages to the gods, protect oneself from evil, or even curse others. The iron nail or rod could serve to metaphorically anchor or bind the spell in place. The discovery context supports this. The 4 similar jars at Seleucia were found together in the rectangular foundation of a building, a ritual context. These finds were associated with incantation bowls, shallow bowls written with spiraling spells and often buried upside down to trap demons, further cementing the magical purpose of the vessels. While the presence of acidic residue in the specific Baghdad Battery artifact challenges the notion of long-term preservation of fragile papyrus, the strong contextual association with these ritual vessels makes it the consensus view. The beer/wine purification hypothesis. The second powerful non-electrical theory is the purification hypothesis. Built on the ancient Mesopotamians' documented chemical expertise,
particularly their 3,500-year history of brewing beer. This theory suggests the unique construction was a specialized device for improving the flavor of acidic beverages by removing hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is a common byproduct of fermentation that creates an unpleasant rotten egg smell. Copper is highly effective at removing hydrogen sulfide by converting it into insoluble copper sulfide, a process still used today in winemaking. The acidic environment of beer, pH 3.8 to 4.5, is critical. The iron, combined with the copper, actually assists the process. The iron's negative oxidation potential drives a reaction that produces hydrogen molecules and facilitates the transfer of electrons through the solution, helping the copper move into solution more easily to interact with hydrogen sulfide. This explanation accounts for all physical details. Number 1. The acidic residue, fermented beverage. Number 2. The copper element, the active purification agent. Number 3. The fact that the electrodes were not connected, which is a necessary condition for this chemical desulfuring process, directly countering the need for an electrical circuit. Number 4. The bitumen seal, necessary to contain the hydrogen gas produced and to exclude oxygen during the required multi-day purification process. The purification hypothesis offers an elegant, functional explanation rooted in Mesopotamian applied chemistry, requiring Sassanian ingenuity but no knowledge of electrochemistry.
The Baghdad Battery functions as a perfect Rorschach test for history, reflecting either a desire for lost high technology or an appreciation for culturally specific rituals. Its story has become deeply entwined with pseudoscientific narratives. The greatest modern exposure for the electrical hypothesis came from the television show Mythbusters, which sought to test the functional feasibility of the device. Using 10 replica cells filled with lemon juice and linked in series, the team successfully demonstrated that the total output of 4.33 volts was sufficient to achieve the desired effect of electroplating a small object. This demonstration of technical possibility was powerful for general audiences, seemingly validating the electricity before Edison trope. However, the experiment also showcased the limits of the technology. When they tested the array for electrotherapy, the current produced was insufficient to deliver an electric shock through dry human skin. Moreover, the Mythbusters segment, while popular, inadvertently highlighted the tension between technical feasibility and archaeological probability. As archaeologists note, the successful demonstration that electricity can be generated often overrides the critical point that no wires, residues, or written evidence for its use have ever been found. The complexity of interpreting the Baghdad Battery highlights a recurring issue in science. Invention often precedes theoretical comprehension. As noted by the channel Electroboom, ancient people may have accidentally built the battery, putting two different conductors in an electrolyte like lemon juice, vinegar, or salt water, without possessing the higher level of electrical knowledge necessary to put them in series or parallel to make them useful. The energy of a single cell was likely too small to be noticed as anything usable, meaning they made a battery, but they didn't invent the battery as a purposeful device. The low current and voltage meant that the power generated by a single cell was absolutely unuseful for anything 2,000 years ago. Critics of the electrical theory, including some mainstream experts, argue that such low voltage is simply not capable of doing anything useful. Ultimately, the ambiguity of the artifact's function may never be resolved. As U.S. forces advanced on Baghdad, staff at the National Museum of Iraq frantically worked to secure irreplaceable artifacts. Despite their efforts, when looters ransacked the museum in April 2003, amongst the missing irreplaceable items were the collection of 4 small clay jars To this day, their whereabouts are still unknown, making it impossible for modern scientists to conduct the kind of rigorous testing that might definitively settle the debate.